the Modi government has taken a big decision tonight in how the future vaccination policy will work in India. Prime Minister Modi today decided that centre and north states will procure vaccines. 75% of the vaccines, and these will be provided free of cost to all states and even to the age group of 18 to 44, which was currently not in the free category. In the biggest assurance yet on the vaccination front, the Prime Minister announced that states will get these jabs for free, and Prime Minister's move has paved the way for something that we took up right here on the News Hour. The question of one nation, one tender, when we saw this entire policy actually floundering and not being able to come together. It was here on the News Hour that we had actually campaigned for the centre taking back the procurement, and that is why actually this whole issue has come back into centre space. Let me tell you what will happen from the 21st of June. First, the centre, which bought 50% of the vaccines from manufacturers, now will buy 75%. The centre gave free jabs only to the 45 plus population, health and frontline workers. Now it will be free to all above the 18 years of age, and if they go to government hospitals and government set up facilities. States paid a higher price for vaccines and there was differential pricing. Now the centre will procure all of these vaccines. Private hospitals will continue to buy 25% of the total supplies directly from manufacturers, but the Prime Minister has stepped in and said that they can charge only a maximum of 150 rupees as a service charge on the MRP of the vaccine purchase. And that is a huge shot in the arm because there were no caps on service charges, and some hospitals were charging up to 600 to 800 rupees per vaccination. Let's listen in to the new policy announced by the Prime Minister at 5 p.m. this evening.
कई राज्य सरकारों ने फिर कहा कि वैक्सीन का काम डिसेंट्रलाइज किया जाए और राज्यों पर छोड़ दिया जाए। तरह तरह के स्वर उठे, जैसे कि वैक्सीनेशन के लिए एज ग्रुप क्यों बनाए गए। दूसरी तरफ किसी ने कहा कि उम्र की सीमा आखिर केंद्र सरकार ही क्यों तय करे। कुछ आवाजें तो ऐसी भी उठी कि बुजुर्गों का वैक्सीनेशन पहले क्यों हो रहा है। भांति भांति के दबाव भी बनाए गए। आज ये निर्णय लिया गया है कि राज्यों के पास वैक्सीनेशन से जुड़ा जो 25% काम था, उसकी जिम्मेदारी भी भारत सरकार उठाएगी। ये व्यवस्था आने वाले 2 सप्ताह में लागू की जाएगी। वैक्सीन निर्माताओं से कुल वैक्सीन उत्पादन का 75% हिस्सा भारत सरकार खुद ही खरीदकर राज्य सरकारों को मुफ्त देगी। यानी देश की किसी भी राज्य सरकार को वैक्सीन पर कुछ भी खर्च नहीं करना होगा। 21 जून सोमवार से देश के हर राज्य में 18 वर्ष से ऊपर की उम्र के सभी नागरिकों के लिए भारत सरकार राज्यों को मुफ्त वैक्सीन मुहैया कराएगी। प्राइवेट अस्पताल वैक्सीन की निर्धारित कीमत के उपरांत एक डोज पर अधिकतम 150 रुपये ही सर्विस चार्ज ले सकेंगे। इसकी निगरानी करने का काम राज्य सरकारों के पास ही रहेगा।
Well, no No sooner had the Prime Minister made his statement and once again announced something that was the need of the hour, the opposition, as usual, rushed in to take the credit that they had said so, and which is why the Prime Minister cannot take credit. They also said that what was stated by the Supreme Court has become a necessity for the Prime Minister to follow, which is why he's trying to take the credit now. Listen in to the opposition.
He is the one who got only 2 players to manufacture vaccines. He is the one who waited till January to place the first order. He is the one who waited till April to allow the first foreign vaccine to come in. He's talking about solutions. We've been giving him solutions and we've been suggesting to him good methods. He sat on that for 6 weeks, in the end going and doing what we had asked him to do. Who's responsible for wasting those 6 weeks, Mr. Prime Minister?
हमें लगता है कि सारी चीज़ों से जो केंद्र सरकार की नाकामी सामने आई है, फिर आज ऐलान करके अपनी नाकामियों को स्वीकारने का काम प्रधानमंत्री जी ने किया।
केंद्र सरकार ने सुप्रीम कोर्ट की डांट खाने के बाद अब ये कदम उठाया है। इस कदम का स्वागत है। देर आए दुरुस्त आए। और ये भी कहना चाहूँगा कि लगातार विपक्ष की जो मांग थी, दिल्ली की भी जो मांग थी, वो यही थी कि नेशनल इम्यूनाइजेशन कार्यक्रम जो इस देश में पीढ़ियों से चलता आ रहा है, उसी तर्ज पे वैक्सीन का कार्यक्रम भारत देश में चलाया जाए।
Well, today each of the opposition members tried to take credit that it was a huge mistake made by the Prime Minister himself in reversing the earlier policy. But let's not forget the flip-flops of the opposition itself in the vaccine procurement strategy. Instance 1, Mr. Rahul Gandhi, Congress Member of Parliament, who wrote to the Prime Minister on 9th of April, said give state governments a greater say in vaccine procurement and distribution. And then a few days later he said vaccine purchase should be centralized and the distribution should be decentralized. Then, of course, Anand Sharma, Congress Member of Parliament, came in and said state governments must immediately be allowed to enter into contracts for procurement of vaccines, versus what his own Congress President Sonia Gandhi on May 10 said. Modi government has abdicated its responsibility and left vaccination to the states. Again, instance 3, Mamata Banerjee, April 18th, had asked for allowing states to procure vaccines directly, versus what she said on June 2nd, center should procure vaccine for states and give it free of cost. Arvind Kejriwal, of course, 18th of March said decentralize the system, allow states to vaccinate on a war footing, and on May 13th said India as one country should procure vaccines on behalf of all states. But ladies and gentlemen, that brings me to my legitimate question on the News Hour tonight. And the legitimate question is just one. Today's announcement on the vaccine revamp policy, is it a bailout by Modi for the states, or is it a face saver as the states are calling it? Where do you stand on this debate? The hashtag for the big debate, Modi Sarkar to vaccinate all. The debate coming up on the other side.
You're watching the News Hour at 9. Debate number 1 on Times Now. Super Prime Time.
And joining me tonight, Dr. Shambhit Patra, National Spokesperson of the BJP, Shehzad Poonawala, lawyer, Chetan Bhagat, author, Ghanshyam Tiwari, spokesperson of the Samajwadi Party, Tehseen Poonawala, political analyst, Sebastian Paul, ex-member of Parliament of the CPIM. But my first question goes to Mr. Riju Datta, spokesperson of the Trinamool Congress. Riju Datta ji, हिंदी में कहावत है, चित भी मेरी पट भी मेरी. First you write that it should be decentralized, states in a federal structure should be given the rights and the responsibility of doing vaccination in their own states. They should be able to procure it because the center is no good at all. And then turn around and say, हमसे तो होता नहीं भाई, आप ही करिए. And then when he does it, you turn around and you say, well, Supreme Court said this, you should have done this earlier, it's all your fault. Riju Datta, all Modi's fault, no fault of the governments in the states?
No, how can we fault our supreme leader? I cannot fault him. But what I am going to say is that, ma'am, on February 20 this year, before Bengal went to the polls, my chief minister wrote that my entire state is going to the polls. If you are not providing, let us buy the vaccine directly from the manufacturer from a state exchequer. But obviously, you know, that was denied. Now, I welcome the decision of the Prime Minister today, but it is obviously a little too late, because in these 4 months and with the interference of the Supreme Court, that this faulty policy has been taken back by Prime Minister Modi. But in these 4 months, because of this faulty policy, the people who have lost those lives, who is responsible for that? I think from day one, we had to understand one thing, that this is the Republic of India, not the United States of India. So vaccination is the democratic right of every citizen of this country, and the Prime Minister of this country should have procured the vaccines in due time, in advance, so that the entire country should have been vaccinated. तब इतना बखेड़ा ही खड़ा नहीं होता. आप कॉम्प्लिकेट करोगे और आप ही सॉल्व करोगे, फिर आप ही अपना पीठ थपथपाओगे. ये कौन सा पॉलिसी है? And the bottom line is, if now Prime Minister Modi wants to believe in the federal structure of this country, obviously the state is responsible for the distribution of vaccines, then I think a sincere apology would pave the way for reconciliation. He should accept that this is a faulty policy. We have mended our mistake.
Who should apologize to whom? I'm confused. I'm confused, Riju Datta. Who should apologize to whom? Will Mamata Banerjee apologize to Modi, or does Modi have to apologize to Mamata Banerjee for helping her out in a situation where a state was not being able to procure the vaccines? I have not understood.
I think, yes, I'll give you an answer. I think the Honorable Prime Minister of this country should apologize to the dead bodies on River Ganges and to every burning fire in this country. I think that will be a good start.
Dr. Patra, states run by opposition parties will never say thank you to you, but now they are demanding that you need to apologize to them for the people who lost their lives, and that at least is a fair point, because we here on Times Now, on the News Hour, have on several occasions requested that this policy of decentralizing it was not going to work, and that you needed to take it back and you needed to supply vaccinations, because that is the only Suraksha Kavach that we have. In the interim that you did not do this, who pays for the price? Who pays the price for the people who've lost their lives and families that have lost their loved ones? Dr. Patra, respond.
See, Navika, without rhetorics, as far as the opposition is concerned, I have been maintaining this, that they are, in fact, quite apt in the art of burning the candle both ways. They would like to burn the candle both ways. If you export the vaccine out of this country, they will say, why do you export the vaccine? If you don't export, then Shashi Tharoor goes out and says, Hurago, why have you not exported? Don't you want to become Vishwa Guru? So they burn the candle both ways. Anyways, 3 letters that you talked about. Here is the letter of Mamata Banerjee on 24th of February 2021, and I quote, under the circumstances, government of West Bengal has decided to procure adequate number of vaccines for the members of the public at large. We would request you to kindly take up the matter with appropriate authority so that the state government is able to purchase the vaccines from the designated points on the top priority basis. And here is the letter of Rahul Gandhi dated 9th of April 21, point number 6. Give the state governments a greater say in vaccine procurement and distribution. And let me quote what Mr. Arvind Kejriwal, the best of them all, said. Mr. Arvind Kejriwal said, I quote, that why do
Dr. Patra, you don't have to get into these details because we've made it simpler for you. We've listed all of these letters on the screen. They are all there. आपका research हम करके आए हैं. हमने नहीं पर ये flip flop तो हमें पता है. पर सवाल ये है कि बीच no. I'll show you. Can we, Shashi Bhai, can we just show the statement of Kejriwal as well? We have not...
Let me qualify the statement of Kejriwal also. Kejriwal said, don't club Delhi with the underperforming states, because we are a super performing state. So we can, in fact, procure and vaccinate everyone within 3 months. So Modi ji decentralized. And since, well, yes, health is a state subject, which Modi ji even mentioned today, it was decentralized. And well, the state government might have tried, but they did not succeed. And this is a constitutional decision. This is not a rhetoric thing. Well, yes, state governments constitutionally, if they make a demand, because health is their prerogative,
second,
of course the government of India allowed them the time period. They could not succeed. Mr. Modi said today, without blaming anyone, that, well, yes, collectively we have to work. Henceforth, we will procure and we will give it free. But still, as I maintain, damn if you do, damn if you don't.
Navika ji, I have one quick 1 second question.
Well, hands are going up. Hands are going up. Hands are going up on the panel. Hands are going up on the panel. First to Riju Datta, then to Tehseen Poonawalla. Both want to, rebut Mr. Sambit Patra. Riju Datta, first to you, and then to Tehseen.
Yes, my only question is, when the states wanted it, apparently as per you, Dr. Patra, you decentralized it. Now the states pressurized you and the Supreme Court got involved, you have taken back the policy. So if you are listening to the states so much and you are not adequate enough to take your own decisions, then resign. Give it to the states to run the union government. छोड़ दो फिर गद्दी. जब आपको दूसरों का बात
अरे first decide तो सही किसको प्राइम मिनिस्टर बनाना है. अच्छा ठीक है, लेट मी आंसर. नहीं नाविका, पहले इनको बोलिए ना, अभी डिबेट में डिसाइड कर ले कि किसको प्राइम मिनिस्टर बनाना है, राहुल को, मायावती जी को, ममता. अभी डिसाइड करिए, बताइए.
आप छोड़ दीजिए ना, हम लोग डिसाइड कर लेंगे.
आप पहले लेके तो आइए. अरे दुल्हा को लेके तो आइए, गद्दी रेडी करेंगे. पहले दुल्हा को पकड़ के तो लाइए.
सर दूल्हा
डिसाइड करिए आप लोग.
देखिए
दूल्हा, आप दुल्हा को
सजाइए. लेट मी गेट इन तहसीन पूनावाला.
यस.
Let me get in Tehseen Poonawalla. Tehseen Poonawalla, isn't the opposition being trifle unfair? The fact is, and these letters are in black and white, nobody is fibbing about these letters. These are in black and white. Rahul Gandhi wrote them, Anand Sharma wrote them, Arvind Kejriwal wrote them, Mamta Banerjee wrote them, and all of them said that health is a state subject. We should have the authority to buy, to give our people, because you in any case are not doing an efficient job of it. You had decried the Prime Minister at that time. I want to ask you, Tehseen Poonawalla, don't you think some amount of blame has to be taken by the state as well? Because they thought that decentralized procurement will work. They thought that the decentralized vaccination policy will work. They thought that they were smarter than Prime Minister Modi, and they failed. Why don't you take some part of the blame as well?
I'll answer that question along with the question Dr. Patra posed, who then will be Prime Minister of India? A soft toy will be a better Prime Minister of India, because even a soft toy would have more empathy and would not come on television to claim credit and disappear when people were dying for lack of oxygen, for which the Prime Minister should apologize. So let's leave that out and come to the specific. When the Honorable Supreme Court, I quote Times Now, your correspondent Harish Nair said that the vaccine policy is irrational, that irrational policy was defended by a man called Tushar Mehta on the instruction of the Narendra Modi. So if I am wrong, why was Modi sir defending my wrong policy? First question. Now let's come to the bigger question, and I will end here. I wish today was not a Mann Ki Baat, but was an interview to you, ma'am, because you would have asked Mr. Modi two tough questions. Question number one that you would have asked. Prime Minister Modi, in April and September, when every major democracy of the world pre-ordered vaccines, why did you not do it, and why did you wait till January to cause this mayhem?
I'll tell you why.
Point number two.
I'll tell you
Point
why.
number two.
I'll tell you why. You know this holier than thou attitude, Tehseen Poonawalla, is nauseating simply because at that time there were many political parties saying that these vaccines are not safe, these studies are not done, Modi is making guinea pigs out of India, out of Indians. Pfizer wants an indemnity, don't give it to them. They will use Indians as their guinea pigs. None of you, between January and April, 1 minute, Tehseen Poonawalla. Now you listen.
One second.
One minute. From August to December, from August last year to January this morning, did you open your mouth about any vaccine? No, you did not. It was Modi who was looking ahead and giving money to the... 1 minute. 1 minute. Tehseen Poonawalla, 1 minute. And you asked the Prime Minister to 1 minute. Tehseen Poonawalla, you asked the Prime Minister to apologize for all those people who died because of lack of oxygen. Well, I will go ahead with you and ask the same question of the Prime Minister. If today, when oxygen is enough, every single opposition chief minister will 1 minute. Allow me to complete.
It's not
if
enough.
Every single chief minister will apologize for every single death that has taken place, despite oxygen being available, despite hospital beds being available, despite ICU beds being available, and despite medicines being available. So don't talk too much till you are ready to share the blame, just like you want to share every part of the power structure, and you are more ready to do that. Shehzad Poonawalla, respond to Tehseen.
Navika, today in your debate, I can see 4 brilliant goalkeepers. You will say, who are these goalkeepers? They are brilliant goalkeepers because every time they change the goalpost and they save their goal. Look at these people. I'll show you one goalkeeper. His leader said that this is a BJP vaccine, lagana nahi hai. Goalkeeper's father has taken the vaccine today wearing a red topi. Addition to that. That is goalkeeper number 1. Now goalkeeper number 2. When there was a shortage of vaccines and it was still being organized and it was being given scientifically to the most vulnerable communities, the second goalkeeper said, sabko de do. When they said, okay, chalo, aapki baat maan lete, sabko dete hain, then they started saying shortage ho gayi. When the second goalkeeper also said that, listen, this should be done by us. We are a good, very efficient state. There's the goalkeeper number 3 from Bengal. They play football very well out there. They said कि नहीं हम करेंगे. Give it to us. हमें सब आता है. When the center said चलिए आप कर लीजिए, then they said कि नहीं हमको नहीं करना है, आप ही कीजिए. This is goalkeeper number 3. Now goalkeeper number 4, I want to ask this from Kerala. They said that we will give free to our people. We will give free to our people. And then they wrote letters to the center कि आप ही free दे दीजिए. These are the kinds of 4 goalkeepers we have in this country that kept changing the goalposts every time. Now, I just want to ask one question to all of these 4 goalkeepers. Today, when everything that you have said, you all have not been able to deliver. What did you all deliver when the state was given the charge of bringing just 25% of the vaccine? You all gave the vaccines, हमारे बच्चों की vaccines to the judgment. You all took the vaccines from the poor and you gave it to the rich at 1,500 rupees per vaccine. Today, when the Prime Minister has given the vaccines free of cost to all the people, 200 crore vaccines will come by the end of this year. 23 crore vaccines have been administered, and this is more than the vaccines administered by UK, France, Germany, Italy, countries which have GDP much more than India. Today, when we have administered more number of first doses than even United States of America, आपको problem क्या है? Problem ये है, head driving, tails you lose. जो भी मोदी करे, he will get our abuse. This is their philosophy.
Well,
so you are saying
I want to get in, Mr. Ghanshyam Tiwari. Mr. Ghanshyam Tiwari, one question to you. You know, your party is in a freelance situation right now. It's not, a member of any alliance. It's not running any state. All it does is, on a freelance basis, criticizes Prime Minister Modi every single morning. Responsibility कोई है नहीं, accountability कोई है नहीं, और किया सिर्फ vaccine hesitancy में अपना योगदान. And therefore, I want to ask you, Ghanshyam Tiwari, the states wanted their federal right. The Prime Minister gave it to them. Today, when they ask for the Prime Minister's apology, is it fair? Maybe the Prime Minister needs to apologize because, yes, oxygen shortages did exist. Yes, medicine shortages did exist. So let's not make any excuses about the variant, about the X multiplication, velocity of the transmission of the virus. Let's forget all that. But the Prime Minister should say sorry to everybody. But should states not say sorry to anybody in this country? Are they not responsible for the people in their own states? Or do they have only rights and no duties? I want to ask you this question as an Indian citizen, not just as a politician.
I think there is only one goal for the entire country, that the ultimate fight in this pandemic is to get everybody vaccinated and in time get everybody vaccinated. And in that goal, everyone who can contribute in their ways, they are contributing. In response to COVID, we set up, and it's a non-political platform of members of parliament, PI India, Parliamentarians with Innovators for India. And we have also taken initiatives as a citizen of this country. For example, we set up a website called immunize.in, which is focused on giving scientific and verifiable information in multiple languages on vaccines. So when it comes to what the Prime Minister is doing or not doing, eventually Prime Minister can take credit, he could be criticized, but the reality is Supreme Court has set the nation on a very clear focus. Despite the government, the Supreme Court wants to know that the government said 35,000 crores, where is that money? So the Supreme Court wants to know that how does the government expect to suddenly put the thrust on states when the Modi government was dealing with vaccine procurement? The court wants to know that if the government has a plan, which Prakash Javadekar was talking about, by end of year, everybody would be vaccinated. Where is that plan? These are straightforward questions. Whether Sambit Patra wants to take credit for Prime Minister or somebody wants to say that a soft toy would be better than the Prime Minister. Reality is we have to get past it if we have to salvage our economy, salvage life in this country, and be the nation that we aspire to be.
You're absolutely right, because the Supreme Court has asked these questions, and I'm coming to you, Dr. Patra. You've raised the right questions and you've repeated the Supreme Court questions. It's all very well, because the Supreme Court frankly does not have to deal with day-to-day politics of this country, where Prime Minister is shot at every morning through tweets and through various sound bites, calling him Hitler, dictator, because he's not allowing the states to do anything. Fair point. The Supreme raised those questions. The Prime Minister has taken back. At least you will not call him Hitler. But let me ask Dr. Patra. Dr. Patra, I want to ask you. The fact of the matter is that we have gone wrong somewhere in our procurement policy. But today, everybody is here to take credit कि सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने कराया, और राहुल गांधी तो करा ही रहे हैं आपसे सब कुछ, क्योंकि कांग्रेस कह रही है कि राहुल गांधी की एडवाइस लेके आज मोदी जी ने ये स्टेप लिया है टू अनाउंस. Respond to all your critics, Dr. Patra.
Yeah, thank you. Navika, of course, I mean, if a person was responsible for all the mess that you were saying that he's responsible for, if something good happens, then he is the one who has to be given the credit. It's but natural, because Rahul Gandhi was not responsible for the mess, so he's not responsible for the credit as well. But then, today I was amused. Soft toy? Tehseen Poonawala, of all persons calling Rahul Gandhi a soft toy anyways, as far as crediting the tweets of Rahul Gandhi, that his tweets are the ones that are responsible for all these announcements. Navika, I don't know, you are a Punjabi, so is Chetan Bhagat. You all must have heard of a bird called as Titi Hari. Titi Hari. In English, it is called as a red-wattled, lap-winged bird. Titi Hari bird is a famous saying in Punjabi and Hindi about Titi Hari bird. This bird, it sleeps ulta hoke with both the legs up, and it thinks that she is the one who is holding the whole heaven. And the moment she puts her leg down, the heaven will fall down on the earth and everything will be extinct in this whole universe. So Rahul is behaving as if he's a titiary bird. His tweets are the one which are holding every governance in this country, and everything happens in this universe only because of his tweet. Rahul, please cease to be titiary. Rise up and become the president of Congress Party. Soft toy.
Tehseen, would you want to respond before I get in Chetan Bhagat?
Well, at least Rahul what he's tweeting is being followed by the Honorable Prime Minister, at least as a sparrow. But what is the Prime Minister and the government doing? It's like a bat, blind like a bat, banging into walls, creating hurdles, and then like Superman coming to take credit for something they didn't do. Just answer one question. Why didn't you pre-order vaccines? Where is amphotericin B? You have no answer. Tomorrow you'll come back on time.
Mr. Tehseen Poonawala, Mr. Tehseen Poonawala, allow me to intervene. There is this question that I want to ask you. You are talking about the Prime Minister taking credit for something he didn't do. I want to ask you, what has Mr. Rahul Gandhi done to become the president of the Congress Party? All he has done is lose state after state after state. All he has done is lose Amethi and run to Wayanad. All he has done is actually tear up the ordinance of his ex-Prime Minister, Dr. Manmohan Singh, who was such a well-read man, and you people don't tire of telling the country about how erudite and educated he was. लेकिन राहुल गांधी ने क्या किया? सिर्फ ये किया. लेकिन क्रेडिट आप लोग फिर भी उनको देते हैं. प्रेसिडेंट आप उनको बनाते हैं. हैं और भावी प्रेसिडेंट भी वही हैं, क्योंकि आप वेट कर रहे हैं कि इस पार्टी में डिसीजन ही तब होगा जब वो मान्यवर मानेंगे कि कब वो आएंगे और अध्यक्ष की कुर्सी पर बैठेंगे। उन्होंने क्या किया है आज तक तहसीन पूनावाला, देश को बताइए ना।
Just one line, I'll answer, one line. 12th February 2020, Rahul Gandhi said we're going to face a tsunami of COVID. The health minister laughed at him. 3rd March, Rahul Gandhi said COVID is a disaster. God laughed at him. On 15th March, when COVID was declared as a pandemic, God laughed at him. In January, when Rahul Gandhi said we're going to intensify the second wave of COVID, God laughed at him. Continue to walk him. Rahul Gandhi is not responsible for the deaths that have happened in India. He is not lied to the country. Lied like
well, Tehseen Poonawala, I don't know about anybody laughing at Rahul Gandhi, but let me get in Chetan Bhagat. Yes. Chetan Bhagat, what do you think about the policy that has been turned around, number one? And number two, you know, the entire coalition of opposition parties now saying that hum to shuru se hi keh rahe the. You know, had they forgotten about their failures, their flip-flops, and so, you know, posting all the follies at the Prime Minister's doorstep?
Yeah, so I've heard everyone, so just give me 2 minutes for that. And I am not coming as a political person. Let me just react first to today's speech. We are not discussing Rahul Gandhi today. So net, I think it's still good. You know, the government was alerted, including people like me, including on your debates also, on the fact that the vaccine planning needs to be better, and the government is acting. Now, what else do you want the government to do, right? If you felt that the government wasn't doing it the right way, if they change their ways, if they're listening, I think that's good. His coming today talking about the vaccine so much shows that the Prime Minister is focused on the vaccine. So those are the good things. He's ready to face some music, because if he didn't come, we wouldn't be like sitting and discussing this. But what would you rather? He didn't come at all, right? Now, 2 or 3 main things he said. One is change in the center-state policy. Now, these are uncertain times. Nobody's getting it right worldwide. You can't get it right all the time because you're dependent on external supply of vaccine. So yes, the policy has been changed. Yes, the previous policy wasn't working. Fine. Okay. Second, he mentioned international vaccines. That's a big thing he mentioned, because that Atmanirbhar thing is gone. Vaccine nationalism is gone. Thank God for that, right? Third thing he mentioned is vaccines to be given free, which is fine. In a country like India, you do need to. Yes, some people can pay, but it gets so difficult sometimes to figure out who are the few people who can pay and who can't. And the speed is the issue here. So fine, give it to everybody. In fact, in other countries, even in a country like the US, they are giving incentives. They are doing lotteries. In Hong Kong, they are giving vaccines and saying there's a lottery of a $1 million house. In US, many places they're offering a beer after a vaccine, which is a bizarre way, but fine, to each their own culture. But you not only have to give it free, you have to give incentives, small incentives. Maybe we can give, you know, I don't know, some plate of snacks or something. Now, we have made mistakes. We should have ordered. I've talked about it. And the issue is, Navika, koi kisi ka nahi hai duniya mein. That is what has shown now. Even the UN head has tweeted, he has tweeted pleading countries to please be fair in vaccine distribution. 75% of the vaccine is with 10 countries. 100 countries do not have any vaccine. 0. 100 countries of this world. We are dealing with this kind of a world जहाँ कोई किसी का नहीं रहा. तो yes, India को भी ये सोचना चाहिए था कि कोई किसी का नहीं है, boss. We should have ordered. But now, we are trying to do it. There are 7-8 manufacturers. We should get all of them. We are trying to do that. I really feel we need to focus on this. This is not something we should get too much politics in this. No vaccine nationalism, no state center, no BJP. And the biggest politics in India right now, या तो मोदी को great बताओ या मोदी को नीचा दिखाओ politics. None of this helps in terms of vaccines. We need to work together. Take the positive message. Let the states and center come in sync, and let's just go and vaccinate everybody. You know, क्योंकि दुनिया में कोई किसी का नहीं है. हमें अपना खुद का
very well said. Let me get in Sebastian Paul. I want to ask you. You know, initially the CPM government in Kerala wanted this done, by themselves, and then they suddenly come back and say free, everything should be free, procured by the center. I want to ask you, fair and square, should states now stop the blame game, look at the road ahead, because vaccination and vaccination for all is the important fact. Rest, I think mistakes have been made both by states and the center. There's no point in hair splitting on what percentage of the mistakes were made by states or what percentage of mistakes were made by the center. Would you agree with that or not, Mr. Paul?
Yes, I fully agree with you that this is not the appropriate time for putting the blame on somebody or taking credit for something good that is happening in the country. Anyway, the Prime Minister has today spelled out a new procurement policy, which is in agreement with the demands made by almost all the chief ministers cutting across party divisions, and the questions asked by the Honorable Supreme Court also in the same line. Now that the centre has taken up the responsibility of procuring vaccine from the global market and distributing it to the states,
well, Dr. Patra, before I end the debate, last word to you. They are relieved that they don't have to procure it, but they will credit the Supreme Court, not the Prime Minister. What do you make of that?
See, Navika, let them credit anyone. But at the end of the day, let me just tell, as Devi Satyji rightly pointed out, a doyen in the field of medicine, this government has done everything that is possible within the realms of humanism to see to it that this country does well. Secondly, look, we are not an ordinary country. Demographically, we are the whole of US, the whole of Europe, the whole of Brazil, the whole of Argentina put together. I mean, still India has been compared as far as vaccination is concerned with the US and the UK. I mean, look, the most developed nation. This is what India has achieved. And for God's sake, we are going to vaccinate everyone by December. Modi hai,
well, we are not embarrassed about our achievements. No, Dr. Patra, we are not embarrassed about our achievements, but there is one point that we would want to make, which is the centre should never have given in to the political pressure, because you have not given in to political pressure in the past. You should not have decentralized, because it is not the political parties who pay the price. It is the common man of India who pays the price of this experimentation that happened over the last few weeks. And this experimentation has led to loss of lives. And every life lost is one too many for this country. That's something that will stay on our conscience as a collective India. And tonight, we are happy that we carried out this campaign of one nation, one mission, vaccinate India. And today has been the biggest step announced by the Prime Minister in this. We'll continue to follow this story, because we can't rest till the last man in India or the last woman is vaccinated and is safe from COVID-19. Thank you very much to my panelists for joining me on this debate number 1. Breaking news and a big stunner of a story coming up on the other side. Don't go anywhere. Just a short break and I'm going to be back. Sit on the edge of your seat.